Hi, in today's video I'm going to take a look at Labwc, which is a wlroots-based Windows stacking compositor for Wayland inspired by openbox. So this is Labwc. I don't have a panel or anything set up. You can see I just have a little menu here to reconfigure, terminal, Emacs. And what I'm going to do is actually show you how you get this installed and configured, and how you set up key bindings to move windows, and some of the features that Labwc has. So first of all, go as pkg install Labwc. That will install Labwc on FreeBSD. It may be in your repository if you're on Linux, otherwise you're going to have to build it yourself. The configuration files are actually stored in .config labwc. You can see I've got my configuration files here, and it has some default configuration files that ship with it: user, local, share, examples, labwc. Okay, so these are the default configuration files that have changed. So what I'm going to do is go through and show you some of the changes that you actually need to make to get this workable, because there are some issues with it. As I said, this is a stacking window manager. It's not tiling. So as you can see here, if I create a new window, what's going to happen is I'll have this set to intelligent placement. So what I'm going to do is actually go through the config and show you how this is set up. So the RC, what we've got first of all is we've got 4 files basically: auto start, environment, menu.xml, and rc.xml. Auto start is used to start programs automatically and can be used to do things like set your wallpaper. So as you can see here, I'm using SwayBG, which is something you'd need to install. So SwayBG-I, the path to my wallpaper, and setting the output to dev null. And the important thing here is you need to have an ampersand at the end of the command so that the next command in the auto start can run. So that's how you can set your wallpaper using SwayBG. So the next thing we have is the environment. Okay, and what we can do with this is actually set our keyboard setup, so our keyboard layout, and we do that with XKB options. So what you can see here is I have XKB default layout equals GB Mac, and then on the next line XKB default options control swap left alt with left control and caps none. So this is how you can set your XKB options so that your keyboard's working properly. Okay, next thing is we have the menu. This is the little menu that comes up here. Okay, I won't go into that too much because I don't really use them, but basically what we've got here is a couple of things. We have this workspace section here, and what this does is this corresponds to this little drop down here, which can be activated with Alt and space. And what you can see here is it says like always on top, workspace, move left, move right, and always on visible workspace. The default menu has a lot more commands that have actually trimmed down, and I'll go into these commands later because there's some things you need to know about how Labwc handles different desktops. So that's the workspaces thing that's up there. Then we've got the sort of root menu, which again is this, which is activated with the left click. So reconfigure is when you've made changes to the configuration file and you want to reconfigure it. and then I've got like terminal Emacs and an exit there. So that's the menu, and the interesting one here is the rc.xml, and this basically is the main config. So what we've got up here is the opening bracket labwc config, and the first thing that we've got here is window placement. Now this basically controls how windows are placed when you open them, and by default it's set to center, I think. And what that will do is that will basically open a window in the center every time you open a new application. You might think that's a good idea, but the issue is what happens is when you open lots of windows, they all appear above each other. So what we have is this other option here. If I just open this up a bit here, placement automatic, and what that does is that will place new windows so that there is the minimum overlap with an existing window. So if I open a terminal, what you'll see is it's placed so that there's as little overlap with the other window as possible, instead of just opening it here. So that's the first change I make. See, it's not exactly tiling, but it's better than having all the windows opened above each other. Let me just grab some tea. Okay, and the next step is the theme. So the themes are actually, you've got several things. What you can have is you've got like a theme RC file, and you can create a theme rc.override file and -override file and put it in the labwc config file and directory. But there's also pre-built openbox themes that you can use with Labwc, so local share themes. So what you need to do is actually create this directory, local share themes, and this is where you put the openbox theme. So here I have BL lithium, and it's got a particular folder structure. You've got the theme name, and then what you have is all this stuff in here. So you can see openbox, and this is what I was talking about, the theme RC. So all the openbox themes have a combination of a theme RC and usually these XBM files, which are I think they're little icons basically that are used in the theme. So you can see here we've got the theme RC file for the theme I'm using, and it's got stuff like, you know, menu width, border, titles, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you can do this manually, or you can use an openbox theme with Labwc. So that's the theme that I installed. You can have a look and, you know, find an old openbox theme that you can use with this, and that's how you would install it. You know, you can do things like set the corner radius, font name, and what we're going to get into now is the keyboard setup. So the thing about Labwc is it doesn't have independent workspaces per monitor. So all that means is when you have a window open on the second display, for example, on Workspace 1, and you switch to Workspace 2 on your laptop, the workspace on the monitor will shift as well. Okay, but there's a way around that. You can actually set windows so that they always appear on a particular display. Okay, so what we've got up here is key bindings for Alacrity. So the first thing we need to work out is what these refer to. So W is the Windows key, the super key. Capital S is Shift, capital A is Alt, and capital C is control. So what we've got here is Windows key, super and return will open wlrctl like that. Next one we've got is Windows key, command, control and return will open Emacs. You can see there I've got Emacs open. Okay, and the next one here is Toffee, and this is my application launcher. Toffee is a application launcher in the style of dmenu and Toffee. And what I have it set up here is with Windows key and A, and it's set up so that it will open up in the top up here. So what you can see is it's just showing desktop applications. So Toffee on its own will show all the binaries. Toffee drun only shows applications that have a desktop entry, because otherwise you're just going to end up with loads of stuff in the menu. So you can see here Firefox, Chromium, all these things I can actually launch. So that's my application launcher. So the thing with these kind of window managers is you need to actually do build the configuration file before you boot into it, because otherwise you're not going to be able to do anything. So you actually want to create the configuration file while you're booted into another window manager, and then boot into Labwc. So that's the application launcher we've got up here. Now the next thing we've got is window switcher, and what this is this is bound to the Windows key and S. So what this does is this actually shows all of the open applications on the system. This shows all of the currently open windows on the system, and it does this using the foreign level, what's it called? Something called like the foreign top level something or other protocol. And so what this allows you to do is actually list all of the open applications on the system and switch to the window. If you use programs like Toffee on X11, you'll know that you can, when you bring up the window switcher, you can actually automatically switch to an application if it's open. So again, what this does is this allows me to Labwc. You can see there it's shifted. Come back across here. I can Emacs, shifts back to that window, and the way it does this is in Windows switcher. Okay. So what I've got here is a simple script, and what I'm using is a tool called wlrctl, which is a Wayland version of I think it's WM, it's called something like wlrctl or something on X11. But basically what this does is this allows you to list the top level windows. So if I open a terminal here and I run wlrctl top level list, what you'll see is it's actually printing out a list of all of the windows that are currently open here. So what you'll see is on the left the application ID, and on the right what you'll see is the title of the window. And the interesting thing about this is the only Wayland compositor on FreeBSD that I've come across that actually supports the top level protocol. DWL doesn't, Wayfire doesn't, and Hikari doesn't. So this is the only compositor that I've found so far on FreeBSD that supports this protocol, that will allow you to list out the windows that are open. wlrctl has options for moving the output, the pointer, You can do window. What you can do is things like full screen, focus it, activate it, close it, based on the window name. So it's a really useful tool. So basically what this script does is it finds the top level. Let me just show you here. So using awk, what we do is we can trim off the first part, which was the application ID, and just show the title of the window, because as you can see here, what I was doing here is selecting the first part, which just shows the application. But the problem with that is if you've got multiple windows open from Firefox, for example, it would just list Firefox instead of the actual window. So what we've got is we get the top level windows here, and we pipe it into Toffee. Okay, so that's piped into Toffee there. And what happens is our selection is then stored in the variable input. And then what we do is use wlrctl top level activate title and then the input, and that will match the input that we've selected basically. And so that allows me to then shift across. So you can see here I've got tilde, and what that is doing is that is actually listing the window here. So let me just close that again and bring this up here. So one. So where is it? Is it jacked? Okay. So what I wanted to show you is this is me recording the audio using jacked, and what you can see here is I have Labwc open using tmux. I've got a tmux session here, and the interesting thing is normally tmux will list the window title will just be tmux, okay, but as you can see here, it's actually jacked. It's actually showing the name of the program running in the tmux session and displaying it as a window title. And what that allows us to do is actually switch to the terminal. So instead of it just saying tmux, it's going to say jacked. And so I'm just going to show you this bit of a diversion. Tmux config down the bottom. Oh, fuck's sake. Alright, okay, hang on. Big tmux. Okay. So let me just check. That's all working. Yep, sorry. The fans were just going a bit bonkers, so I was just checking it was still recording. So what I've got in here in config tmux.conf is tmux title program name. So set option -G, set titles on, set option -G, set title string #w. What that does is that puts the program title up here in the title of the terminal so that it will show up. So let me just show you here. So if I run tmux, run top, you can see it's now saying top. So when I list the windows, you will see I've got top listed there as well as jacked. So I've got jacked, I've got top, like that. This will also list the, so you can see here I'm on the desktop. So if I now search for desktop, it's going to activate that. So that's just a nice sort of feature to do with the window switching and the foreign-toplevel protocol. Okay, let's get back into that one. So that's the window switcher. So the next one is wlroots-based, which is a heads-up display. You can see here, press a keyboard shortcut, comes up with this menu. You can have sort of sub-menus. So I can do screenshot, and then select laptop, monitor, both, that sort of thing. So that's another nice wlroots tool that you can install. So next thing we're going to have a look at is Windows, actually closing Windows. So I set the key binding for closing Windows to Shift, Super and C. So what you can see here is we've got keybind, key, SWC, close. Then what we've got next is toggle maximize. So toggle maximize, this is Windows and M. You can see toggle maximize, and Windows N for toggle full screen, like that. So I just keep those two keys close together, and it's easier than using things like function F11 to go full screen. Okay, next thing that we want to do is actually have the number of desktops. So where did I put the desktops thing? I think I need to move that up. Number of desktops. Okay, where did I put the number of desktops? Hang on. Desktops. There is a place where you set the number of desktops. Okay, I'll get into that when I find it. So what we've got here is there is a section where you actually specify the number of desktops, that is the virtual desktops that you want to have, and I've just got it set to 4. So what we've got here is how you create a keyboard shortcut to actually switch to a particular virtual desktop. So I've just got them set to Windows key 1, 2, and 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and let me just switch back there, and I just want to put this so I can see it full screen. Okay, so that's how we set the keyboard shortcut to go to a desktop. So you got the key. So again, capital S is for Shift, capital A is for Alt, capital W is the super key, and capital C is Control. So we've got super key 1, super key 2, 3 and 4, basically to switch to the different desktops by number. What we've also got here is go to desktop with H and L. So what I can do is super H or super L to shift left or right. So H to go left, L to go right. That's just another way to easily toggle stuff. Okay, what we've got here is center desktop. So what you want to be able to do is actually move a window to a particular desktop. So let me just minimize this. So this is the second desktop. So let's create this and move this window to the third desktop. So what I'm going to do is press Windows, Super and 3, and what you'll see is this window is now being moved to the third virtual display, basically the virtual desktop. So I can move that back to 2. Okay. So same thing. We got the key binding, Super Windows 1, center desktop. So you've got go to desktop and then center desktop. So center desktop 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. Next thing we want to be able to do is actually move a window to the left or right monitor. So you've got 2 monitors plugged in. You don't want to have to manually drag the window from one display to the next. That's just stupid. So what I'll do is let me see if I can just capture both here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I've got a window there. What I'm going to do is press the keyboard shortcut, which I've defined as super shift and I to move it left, and super shift and O to move it right. So if I press super shift and O, that will move it across to the other display. Hopefully you can see This is on this display here, and I can then move it back to that display there. Okay, so let me just come back across. So that's how we can move windows back and forth between the displays. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is warping the cursor. So warping the cursor is moving the cursor from one screen to the other. Okay, so what we've got here is key binding, Windows key I, and what you can see here is you can actually set the output. So you can do the same thing with wlrctl, the command I showed you earlier. You can warp the cursor using that. The advantage of the cursor warping in Labwc is that it will actually focus the window as well. So it will not only move the cursor from one display to the other, but it will automatically put the cursor onto the topmost window and focus it. So what I'll do is I'll just bring this out here, see if I can get another monitor. Let me okay, hang on, let me see if I can figure this out, how to show you this. Okay, I'll stick it on both. Okay, so what I've got here is the window, and I'm going to warp the cursor, and I think it's actually hidden the window there. See if I can. What you should see is as I'm warping back and forth, let me move this window. So what you'll see is this window is now activated here on the left. So I've warped the cursor back to the laptop, which is the DP-3 device. I think it's the EDP one. No. Yeah, DP3 is the monitor and the other one. But anyway, as I move the cursor back and forth, what you'll see is that the terminal's focused now. And then when I switch back, you'll see that the Emacs is focused. So what it will do is it will basically warp the cursor. So if you know, you can see I can get something that's not selected. Hang on. So you can see here that's selected. So it will warp the cursor back and give the application focus, which is really handy instead of constantly moving your mouse back and forth. Okay, the next thing we have down here is the audio section, and this is for FreeBSD. On the default config files that come with Labwc actually have options for Linux using the amixer command, but this is how I've modified the default config to use the mixer command on FreeBSD. So what you can see here is we have XF86 audio lower volume, and what you can see here is execute command. So mixer volume equals -5, -5. So that lowers it by -5. And then we've got raise to raise the volume. Again, you can choose a different increment. And then we've got mixer vol .mute equals caret, and that toggles the muting. Next one that I've got down here is Alt, Super and Space, and that's using wlrctl to toggle play and pause. And basically what that does is that works with Empress, which is installed as a option in most browsers and can be enabled in MPV, and it allows you to communicate to the video player using keyboard shortcut. So it's just handy to have a keyboard shortcut to play and pause the currently playing video. Next thing we got down here is the mouse, and this is just the section that defines the little menu you have. Okay, so next thing we've got is focus. So this is how the focus works. So you know how when you're switching between different windows, you can see here as I move the mouse over, different windows get focus basically. So yeah, that's the bit I wanted to mention. Desktop. So okay, the focus. So we've got follow mouse, yes. Mouse movement, no. Raise on focus, no. That's just basically the focus I got it set up. And this is where you define the virtual desktops. I should have put that higher up in the config. So desktop number equals 4 and pop-up time 0. What that does is by default there is a pop-up window that comes up every time you switch workspaces. And it's really ugly and it's really distracting. So I disable that because you don't need it. Okay, so next thing here, window rules. Now this is something that's really important. As I said, Labwc doesn't have independent workspaces per monitor. So what that means is, as I said, suppose you've got Chromium playing a video on your second monitor. You're on Workspace 1, you've got a video playing in Chromium on the second monitor. You switch to Workspace 2. What happens is Workspace 2 is now enabled on the second monitor, and so you can't see Chromium. There is a little button. If you press Alt and space, you can see in the top left down here, you get this little drop down menu that said. And what you've got is these options like move left, move right, and always on visible workspace. So what you can do is you can have a window open on the second display, press Alt and space, bring up this menu and go always on visible workspace. However, that would get pretty annoying having to do it constantly every time. For example, you opened a video with MPV or you know, trying to play a video of Chromium or using a Firefox picture-in-picture window on your second display. So that's where window rules come in. And what this allows you to do is create a rule that matches a particular window and specifies particular actions. So what we've got up here is Chromium window rule identifier equals Chromium browser. So how do we get the identifier? Well, using wlrctl, say top level list, what you will see here, again, as I said, you'll see the identifier, which is the application name, Alacrity, Emacs. You can see here, you can see OBS Studio is open, and what you'll see is this is listing as com.obs.studio, which is actually the name of the desktop entry. Okay, same with QJack here. So it's got a particular way it sort of lists stuff. But basically, you can find the identifier. So you've got an identifier and you've got a title. So the identifier is Chromium browser, match once equals true. Skip taskbar, no. Skip window switcher, no. Now, skip taskbar, what that means is that is related to the foreign-toplevel protocol. And if you set skip taskbar yes, what that will do is that will mean that it won't show up as a window listed using wlrctl to list all the windows, and it won't show up in the window switcher script that I showed you here. So that's why we set skip taskbar to no, because otherwise it's not going to show up as a window that you can then sort of you know, switch to. Okay, so those are those. Now this is the important thing. Action name equals toggle omnipresent, and basically that is the same thing as always on visible workspace. That's the actual name of the action. and that's the descriptive name, as it were. So having a code block like this with a window rule, the identifier, toggle omnipresent, what that does is every time I open Chromium and stick it on, it would be displayed on all workspaces. So basically what I do is open Chromium, put it on the second monitor, and use it to play DRM videos, you know, like things on channel 4, ITV, that sort of thing. And it will always be on that display even if I switch workspaces. Okay, so the next one we've got here is Firefox picture in picture. So as you know, you can come to YouTube, a second. Okay. So obviously you can click picture in picture here, and that opens that up. So what I'm going to do now, you can see here it's actually, you can see as I'm shifting, it's on all workspaces. So let me just bring that down. And what I want to do is run wlrctl. So wlrctl top level list, and what you'll see here is Firefox picture in picture. Okay, so what you'll see is Firefox listed here and Firefox listed here. So that's the YouTube video page, yeah, and this is the Firefox picture in picture. Let me just close that back across here. So the way this works is what we have is a window rule identifier Firefox, and then title picture in picture, match once false. And then what we have is skip taskbar no, skip window switcher no, and toggle omnipresent. And basically what this little block allows us to do is open a Firefox picture in picture window and have it displayed on all workspaces, either, you know, if we're just using one laptop, or we can put it on our second display, and whenever we switch workspaces, that window will remain in place. However, the main Firefox will still continue to be just on one workspace. So this rule only applies to the picture in picture window, and not Firefox, all of the Firefox windows. Okay, the next thing we've got down here is MPV. So we want the same thing with MPV basically, so that whenever we open a video with MPV, and we can set MPV to automatically open a window on our second display, we want it so that when we switch workspaces, it doesn't move on the second display. So same deal, window rule identifier equals MPV, match once equals true, skip taskbar no, toggle omnipresent. So that's the end of the config. What I also want to do is mention Toffee. So as you see here, this is Toffee, the application launcher I've got. So this is how I launch my applications, and this is how I can switch between the active windows. So if I just come across here, config Toffee. So this is my Toffee config, and one thing I did notice was, for some reason with Labwc, what was happening is sometimes Toffee would open on this display, and then sometimes it would choose to launch on the other display. Even if I got the mouse here, it would open on the other display for some reason. So that's why I'd recommend setting the output. You can set the output here to your display, and you can find that Kanshi. You can see here I've got Kanshi. This is how you can configure your monitors. You can see here both the monitors. You can find the names. So this is basically how you can set up Toffee, the Wayland version of Toffee and dmenu, and horizontal true. And what you can do down here is select the results background color, the padding, radius, that sort of thing, so that you get nice rounded corners. And the reason why it's a good idea to actually set it up like this is because if you don't have a background color on each one of these things, it will just appear, it'll just read as one long line of text. So you need to actually have a background color, and as you can see here, as I cycle through them, it becomes a lighter color, so you can see it's activated, whereas the other ones are grayed out. Sort of my reasoning. But as I said, you want to have a background color on these, because otherwise it's very difficult to actually identify stuff. Now that's Labwc. You can see here, here's the window. I don't actually run a panel. I did have a look for some panels, but most of them are pretty bad. Buggy, or just had weird things to configure. And because I'm on FreeBSD and using Ethernet, I don't really need a panel that I've got a clock down here. I don't really need something showing you what workspace I'm on. It's already showing me the title here, so you typically wouldn't have because FreeBSD uses SND instead of pulse audio. Typically you adjust audio on the command line, or using something like Mixer TUI, so there's not really any need for a panel, in my opinion, when you're sort of on FreeBSD. If you're on something else, you might want to have a panel, so that you can change Wi-Fi, that sort of thing, but we don't really do that on FreeBSD, to be honest. And I've got the application launcher come up here. I can right click and open a terminal, Emacs. So that's all that's needed for that. So what I want to do is actually have one more thing about Labwc. Okay, so let's have a look down here. So we've got the build configuration. This is where you can find, you can install themes. Hang on, there's the screenshot description. Okay, yeah, I think in his thing he was using SFW bar. I had a look at it, but really didn't like it. Oh yeah, here. This is where I pinched the theme from. So this is the theme that I'm using, Bunsen themes, BL Lithium. And you can see that's from the screenshot down there. The interesting thing I wanted to go over was down here. So we did the configuration, the theming, we've got the usage. This is the sort of basic keyboard short up. This thing, gaming. Cursor confinement is supported from version 0.6.2. And what that means is, suppose you're playing a game on your second monitor. Okay, I was like Duke Nukem, which I'll show you in a bit. What can happen is you're suppose this is the external monitor. What can happen sometimes, you're moving your cursor around, you move it across to here. What happens is the cursor switches across to the other display and you lose focus. So suddenly your mouse is on the other monitor and you're getting shot by warthogs with shotguns or aliens. What the cursor confinement does is, when you're actually playing the game, it means it confines the cursor to that screen, right? So you can move your cursor all over the place and it's not going to go off onto the other monitor and suddenly lose focus in the game. So what I want to do is actually show you that in Duke Nukem. So what I'm going to do is start up Duke Nukem and play for a while and actually show you how much better the The cursor confinement makes playing the game. I know it's not exactly a scientific test, but the advantage I found over with Labwc over some of the other compositors on FreeBSD. So I've tested DWL, Wayfire, and Hikari. Hikari's not really used by anyone. There's not really much out there about it, not a lot of documentation, so didn't really get too deeply into that. Wayfire has got a couple of bugs with it. One that causes nasty audio popping with OBS Studio, and a particularly nasty one that seems to affect Chromium windows. So on Wayfire, what can happen is you've got Chromium open and you click a tab and it just crashes. So that's some of the issues with Wayfire. DWL has got issues with opening X11 windows, so windows that are using X wayland, basically, things like Duke Nukem, or if you're opening a window from a jail or a Linux ch root, it will crash. So, and as I said, neither Wayfire or DWL support the foreign-toplevel protocol for listing windows. So far, I've actually found that Labwc seems to be the best Wayland compositor on FreeBSD. Although I prefer tiling window managers, most of the time I actually just have Windows full screen and switch between them anyway. So I don't really do that much tiling, to be honest. So I don't really miss it that much because I just tend to have stuff set up like this. So yeah, what I'll do now is actually go through and open up Duke Nukem and actually show you how much better the cursor movement is with Labwc and the cursor confinement. So I'll stop this now and switch across to Duke Nukem.
Let's rock. Damn, those alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
Okay, let's see how the important trick.
Come get some.
Have some tea.
Blow it out your ass. Ready for action. Hail to the king, baby.
You up here?
Hail to the king, baby. Who wants some? Groovy.
Now running out of shells.
I'm gonna get medieval on your asses.
Blow myself up.